The Senate today will vote on one of the most atrocious bills to ever come across the United States Congress, ever. The New York Times this morning has called it our generation's Alien and Sedition Acts. It is grotesque and likely to pass. It has already passed the House with 7 brave Republicans voting against it, 34 horrible Democrats who sold us out voting for it, including friends of the show, Harold Ford Jr., Sherrod Brown. Terrible, terrible, unacceptable votes. And, okay, we're the bad guys for saying it, and this is why in the mainstream media you don't get people who challenge people in power, because they're afraid that people won't come back on their show. I'm telling you, Sherrod Brown has been on this show a lot. He's in a critical race in Ohio for the Senate. He's much better than Mike DeWine. What he did yesterday in that vote was unacceptable to the nth degree. Maybe it means absolutely nothing, but I'll never forget it. And I know that if he ever runs against somebody who has real values like Paul Hackett, I'll vote against Sherrod Brown. I'll vote for Paul Hackett.
Well, you're certainly, of course, entitled to do that. I think it's only important that the bigger problem here is the context in which we live, which goes to what you complain about so much. That, in general, in not standing up to the Republicans, we put people like Harold Ford and Sherrod Brown, who certainly in Sherrod Brown's case, I don't know that as much about Harold Ford, but I suspect Harold Ford's case as well. Given a world where they don't have to worry about what will be the ads that will be run against them in these competitive states with significant military presences in both states, they would vote against that bill. And, well, hey, just please, for the love of God, let me make a point, because my point is undeniably correct. You can condemn them 100% if you want. Okay. That's also fair. But my point is undoubtedly true. That and my hunch is, if the bill had any chance of being defeated, they would have voted against it too.
That is not undeniably true.
I think it is undeniably true, because also then if the bill had any chance of being defeated, we'd be in a totally different world. The Democrats would be in charge. It's the only way the bill would ever be defeated. It's the only way it would never make it in that form. But we live in a world where they're, of course, terrified. They know the bill's going to lose anyway, and if they vote against it, then what we're at here is what? We're in the late September. That's 6 weeks before the election. They have opened themselves up. These are two guys who are ahead, and they've opened themselves up to very, very, very obvious ads.
Ooh.
Look, don't give me the ooh. Look, that may be true. I hear you. I just want you to. You don't have to do that.
No, I am going to acknowledge this. Hold on. First of all, let me explain to everybody. This is the detainee bill, the torture bill. This is the bill that strips away habeas corpus rights. This is the bill that attacks the foundation of America. This is the bill that allows the executive branch to arbitrarily detain anyone with no checks whatsoever, without a congressional check, without a check with the courts, and say indefinite detention without trials. It attacks the very core of America, this bill. It is the most vile bill I have ever seen, and as we're going to read to you in a second, the New York Times backs it up. It's not just, Air America, liberals, they like to coddle terrorists, they're so concerned about rights. Every single objective person who's looked at this bill has said it is grotesque. It is exactly counter to American principles. I'm going to read you the New York Times piece in a second. Now, Ben, you're exactly right. Obviously, they didn't vote for it because they like torture, Harold Ford Jr. and Sherrod Brown. They don't like habeas corpus. They don't believe in America. They voted for it because they're cowards. And that is basically in exactly what you were saying when you explained that they are so scared of losing. They are so deathly afraid of losing their Senate races, and they care so much about their own power that they're not willing to vote on something that is as clear a bill as I have ever seen.
I agree with you. I'm disappointed enormously at everybody who voted against it, but I am not so naive to not understand why they did it. And I don't think
I understand it, and I think it makes it worse.
Okay, well, I know you think it makes it worse. I don't think it makes it worse, and I think in a bill that's going to lose anyway, I understand.
All these bills lose anyway because the Democrats never fight. You know how many votes they need in the Senate to kill this bill? 40. You know how many Democrats are in the Senate? 45.
No, it's a different game in the Senate, and I am the senators who have a much greater ability to kill this bill.
Explain this to me, Ben. I hear you. Look, you're right about the Senate. Let me explain this from the House perspective to me. How does it help Sherrod Brown and Harold Ford Jr. to stand up and say, because I was afraid of Republican attacks, I voted against American prisoners.
But that's a ludicrous question. It's a Bush administration straw man question. They're not going to say that.
They're not going to say that, but their vote absolutely indicates that, as you just explained.
What their vote indicates is that they are worried about the notion that will be, and the thing of it is, what I think you fail to understand, in fact, I'm certain that you fail to understand it, is the effectiveness of calling them weak on national security. We have to turn it around. Lord knows we have to turn it around. But the fact is, it does work. And Sherrod Brown or Harold Ford are not in any position to overturn it all by themselves.
Now, Ben, you just accused me of failing to understand something, so I'm going to bring it right back at you. What you fail to understand is running from this issue is never going to help you defeat that. They've been running and running and running for the last 6 years. Oh, my God, Bush said national security, run for the hills.
They've actually been running for that. What you fail to understand is they've been running from it from a lot longer than 6 years. And I agree they've got to turn it around. But if I'm Harold Ford or Sherrod Brown, I'd vote against it. They run the risk of throwing themselves on the sword for a principle that will be completely lost to history. In fact, it will be lost to 10 minutes later.
Exactly 100% wrong, 0% right.
No, I think actually probably 80% right.
The New York Times this morning calls it our generation's Alien and Sedition Act. I'm sure that's exactly what the cowards who voted for the Alien and Sedition Act.
But look what they have done.
Oh, don't be forgotten. It's just the Alien and Sedition Act.
Yes, please, God, you misrepresent. When somebody disagrees with you, you don't care what they say. That won't be lost to history. The votes of Sherrod Brown and Harold Ford are lost 10 minutes later. They have nothing to do with it.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Of course not. And the Republicans have won. They've turned this not as Joe wanted, as you wanted. They've turned it into an attack on the Democrats, who didn't sign this bill, who didn't push this bill through, who have nothing to do with it. It is a legitimate complaint. I'm not done. It is a legitimate complaint to complain about the Democrats in the Senate, who have an opportunity to stop it. There are going to be 4 amendments proposed today. They're all going to be defeated along party lines. 3 of them are pretty good amendments. Arlen Specter, who could do a great deal, as we learned yesterday from Dahlia Lithwick from Slate.com, could do a great deal to stop it, won't do it. But ultimately, of course, the people who are doing it are the people who ought to be attacked throughout.
Ben, let me say 2 things here. In case I'm being unclear, you should be checked into a mental institution if you're going to vote for any Republican in 2006. Because every single one of them, except for 7 congressmen, and we'll read their names later, and some of them are incredibly conservative, but you stand up to this and you're an American hero. 7 Republicans in the House voted against this bill. Outside of those 7 Republicans, every one of them. Yes, Dick Cheney, would you like to torture? Yes, I'll do it. Would you like to gut out the U.S. Constitution and grab power in an authoritarian, totalitarian, and tyrannical way? Yes, because they don't understand America. They don't care about America. It's not just that. You can charge the Democrats with that, too. They are actively looking to destroy what America stands for. So voting for a Republican was never in the question. And I wouldn't be attacking the Democrats today if they just had the courage to do the right thing, which I think is painfully simple.